You hear that? The sound of bold ideas.
Welcome to the UX Rotterdam Podcast. My name is Nauke Leon, co-founder of UX Rotterdam. And in this podcast, we talk with designers, leaders, and other creative thinkers who are shaping how design, technology, and human experiences are evolving, especially in times of rapid change. And in this episode, my guest is Bente Bak. Welcome, Bente.
Thanks for having me.
So my first question is always, what is your connection to Rotterdam?
Oh, I have a very lifelong connection. I'm actually born and raised here, studied in Delft for a bit, and somehow managed to get back here. So I know the city, I would say, through and through, and I love the variety of life.
And can you recommend any special places, special spots where you come to get inspired or maybe have a cup of coffee?
Too many, but I'll say that the one that I am often now is Schieblock area, so near Beer Garden. It's kind of like, it used to be a bit of a neglected area, and now it's a super creative space. And for 2 years more, you can enjoy it until they'll turn it into some fancy real estate. So go to Schieblock.
Okay, thanks for the tip. So tell me a little bit about your background as a designer, because you're now an independent product designer, but what did you do before?
I've worked in various design roles for companies for 7 years. At an agency, more in a role of service designer. Also worked at an innovation lab as like a more proposition developer. So more hands-on, I think, entrepreneurial. And as of 3 years now, my own business, a freelance product designer, and kind of loving it.
Okay, so one of your topics, and we can talk more about your workshop at UX Rotterdam, but one of your topics are the UX comics. How did you come up with this topic? What's the background of this?
Oh, that's such a good question. I need to think about it for a second. Because I've been drawing, I think, for over 10 years. And I love humor. I mean, who doesn't like a good pun or joke? So I think it evolved naturally a year ago into me taking the time to reflect. And I started creating jokes about my design life. And that turned into a weekly hand-drawn UX comic.
Yeah, you already mentioned humor is kind of important, maybe communication tool also in the UX process. But I can also imagine that there are a lot of frustrations or maybe more critical situations. Is that also part of the UX comics library?
Oh, definitely. I would say everything that comes to mind. Also, if people have inspiration, I'll definitely take it on. I think usually, especially, it's born from frustration and a situation where you're just really annoyed by a customer client. And I think it's a really nice way to step out of the moment, reflect a bit, and make a pun. So you get an insight, but you also learn something. And I think, that's a wonderful way to be, actually.
Because is communication difficult in our jobs, way of working? Are people having difficulties to express themselves and also in relation with clients or with their key stakeholders?
Yeah, I think I frame it a bit as maybe not so much communication, but general work culture. And I would say definitely for design, maybe also more broader than that. But the work culture is very serious usually. And I often like to introduce play or humor because it enhances, I would say, creativity and collaboration. And especially collaboration, I think, is super important for creating good products. Good teams create good products. So bringing that back, a little bit of humor, lightness, I would say, creates better results in the end.
Mm-hmm. And did you also notice in your personal life that there was a moment that you thought, hey, how can I express myself maybe in a work situation? And was that the beginning of your UX comic journey?
Oh, I don't know the initial trigger for the UX comic journey, but it's definitely evolved from my first job at an agency where I had a boss that we didn't cooperate very well. That's the nice way to say it. But I actually written a book about that with illustrations. So I started illustrating after that experience. So I think it's maybe almost like a 8-year evolving thing that now turns into the UX comic.
Mm-hmm. So if you look at the process, doing a lot of research, testing, it's quite human-centered, of course. In which step of the process would it be useful to make use of this UX comic tool?
Oh, that's such a good question again. I would say maybe I would dissect, I think, the comic from the work process, because I think in a work culture, you work in a team, you of course have a shared common goal. But I think, for example, the way to use humor, like maybe to reflect on something or to create a bit of a shared understanding of a situation, I think that can be a very good tool to loosen up teams. And also the drawing. I think drawing throughout the whole process improves communication, especially as designers. A lot of people have abstract ideas in their head, but up until you draw it or visualize it, you really start understanding each other and collaborate better.
Mm. And can you give an example of a project which you have done maybe recently in which you effectively use this way of working, and what can you share about the results?
Yeah, I think daily, honestly, almost daily, I use it. So now I work for a tech startup, and I love that there is a lot of space for humor. I think the founders really also spark it. And I think their thinking behind it is also that it creates a safe space, a culture that if something goes wrong, people feel open enough to talk about it. So that's why they want to create like a lot of lightness, I think, in the daily activities. As there is also a lot of stress in a startup. And I think that the drawing is actually, I use it daily for designs. Recently, we embarked on another big design, like redesign of something. And with a quick prototype to get all the developers on board, to get their input, already start thinking about the back-end implications. I think it's extremely helpful. And also as a designer, you just get direct feedback on things you probably missed or could be improved or need more thinking.
Mm-hmm. Because I can imagine, and especially in visualizing situations or maybe concepts, it could be also useful to have these drawing techniques. But for myself, for instance, I can't draw anything. Maybe really simple forms, but I'm not really a talent in drawing stuff. Is there still hope for me, or what should I learn?
Definitely, and this was me. I mean, now I've been drawing now 10 years, but during my industrial design study, I thought, oh, everybody's so creative and artistic, everybody draws, and I didn't. And I used to say the exact same thing as you did. Up until I just started doing it, I think I was like, well, I want to experience it. I want to get better. And it's a great tool, especially for, I think, early phase abstract concepts as well, but also structuring data or structuring a plan. I mean, is it drawing? I don't know, but it's visualizing. So you take a big whiteboard, and if someone's talking, sometimes someone has a lot of ideas. You just can structure the ideas and regroup them, cluster them. I think that's also visualizing. So sometimes people have an idea, I need to be very good at drawing humans, but I think it's more about a different way of communicating or structuring the information.
Okay. Well, that sounds like there are still many ways to get to a certain result. Nowadays we're talking a lot about AI. I can imagine also that you don't have to visualize anymore by yourself. I mean, put something in Gemini and you get a visualization.
Definitely.
So what is the difference? What is your what is your reason to still make something by yourself?
I think I'm really flexible always on tools, so I'm not super strict like it should be by hand. So I definitely use Gemini to quickly prototype. We chat a lot about a lot of design specs and stuff. But visualizing is for the things that are in your head and that are hard to come out. Like you need to instruct an AI, very ornate tool, I think, very carefully on what you want. Also, if you create a product with AI, you set the guardrails. It's still human made. So I think it's just like writing. It's a way of processing, thinking, and shaping an opinion or an assumption, I think, about the real world. And next to that, you work with humans. So I think there will always be messy situations where you need some clarification or try to understand each other better. So picking up a pen is the best thing you can do then.
Mm-hmm. So maybe you can tell about some comics you have done. What is the feedback of your audience? How do you use it in creating humor or a discussion or sort of situation where you need to make decisions?
Yeah, I have like I call them like super fans. I mean, this sounds a bit weird, but like a super user. But there's some that are really enthusiastic about the comics. They comment that they recognize themselves and they reach out to me to tell me that, which I think I really appreciate that as a small creator at the moment. And they often see other things in it. So, for example, I have one comic where there's like a deep sea ocean, so full blue vastness, and just a small light of like I don't know what the fish is called, like a deep sea fish with a light bulb. And I saw like the quest for searching for something, and you don't know what you're searching for in UX research, but that other person, the CXO of an agency in Swiss, very far away as well, she saw a bit of loneliness in there and had a whole different feeling with that same comic. And I think I love that. You create a piece, a visual, and people contact you, and you have very meaningful conversations. And I'm sparked daily with my design work. When I hear a developer complaining about pixel perfection hell, I just start drawing immediately.
Mm. And is it also for you a sort of personal way of expressing yourself, maybe in more personal situations?
Yeah, definitely. I've used it, and I think it's in a way I try to make fun of my own emotions, maybe even. Because I can feel things very heavily, or if the developer is not doing what I want, but it helps me to step away and to kind of, I think, take responsibility for my own behavior. And in such a comic, you enlarge the emotion, like you blow it up, which makes it a bit absurd. So it definitely helps with my emotional regulation. Yeah.
Okay. So yes, you are a product designer. Let's talk a little bit about the industry and all the developments happening around us at the moment. So for you as a product designer, what is the most important change in the last, let's say, couple of years, doing your work, working at client side? What do you think is going to change a lot?
I think a lot of things are changing indeed. So I think it's too vast maybe to have a very good holistic overview. But from my experience, and I've also switched to freelance, what I've seen is that digital product is really mass consumed now. Everybody creates an app and it's way more accessible. So it's inherent that it changes our design profession. I would say sometimes people think it's maybe easy to create a product because it's cheaper and quicker to just build a digital product. But I think the true notion of what it takes to create something that solves a pain or creates a gain, but also the commitment it takes to build something and to craft, like design is really a craft. It's not just in one day you have the perfect product, it's learning with the user. I think that sometimes is a bit, forgotten maybe. And I think we need to fight for that maybe a bit more, especially with the AI tech entrepreneurs. But I think there's more value even. Like if you want to make a difference with a proposition or product these days, I think start again with user testing and really invest, I would say, also in a good design expert on that.
Yeah, it's also a little bit strange that there are a lot of namings. You have product design, UX design, service design, business design. Well, everything is design nowadays.
Yeah.
What do you think of these differences? Is there a difference?
I think, maybe it ties into what I said earlier. I think there was like a big boom, right? The web boom. And then we developed more into the tech digital app boom. And maybe now, at least in jobs, will also narrow more, that one designer can run a full company product, probably. So I think eventually those terms will not mean as much anymore. I do think there's a valid reason that we had all those different types of designers. But in my experience now, also with the startup, I'm asked to do marketing assets, so visuals. I'm asked to do journey thinking, user testing, user research, in-depth UX product design, like anything that involves the user impact. Mm-hmm. I think it will go more into that direction again.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think a lot of people are looking for the right, taking the right direction. Maybe insecure about the future, especially about their jobs. Should we worry?
Well, it depends on what your strategy is. I think in general, worry is not the best advisor, but that's easier said than done. But I think that's also why I'm now creating the UX workshops and the comic. Is I see also a big counter movement that while our society is way more digitized, I think there's also a counter movement of needing more human connection. So having more like music festivals is a very physical, visceral experience. So I think there always will be kind of a counter movement. So I think it depends on how you see design. And if you strictly look at product design as this, or service design looks like this, I think, that will change. So you'll need to change along with that. And find what you find, is interesting. I think that always helps, and let that lead the way. But I think it's valid to be worried, but choose to do something with that information.
We will see what the future brings.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to answer, right? I mean, it's so fast, everything, and we don't know yet. I'm very curious as well. A bit frightened, but also really curious.
Yeah. Well, what is going to happen in the near future is UX Rotterdam.
Yeah.
And you are one of the workshop facilitators. What are you going to do?
We're going to have a UX comic workshop. So it is especially also for you, for example, so please join. You don't need prior drawing skills. You just need to be able to hold a pen. I mean, we could be creative whether it needs to be the hand or not.
That I can manage.
Exactly. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we're going to just go into the basics of getting over the fear of an empty canvas, which is a lot of people have that. The basics, I think, of nice rectangles, cylinders, and maybe even some people in there. There will be lots of collaboration and interaction, also with your probably neighbors in the workshop. And eventually we'll build up to think to create your own UX comic. And it will be based probably on a personal UX challenge you encountered, and you'll brainstorm with the people around you. And I think we'll have a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, that's important. And I really look forward to your workshop. Thanks for being here today. And everyone who is listening, if you want to know more about Bente, visit our website, uxrotterdam.com. If you want to know more about our event, you can also go there, and there are still tickets available. Hope to see you next time. Stay curious. My name is Nauke de Jong, co-founder of UX Rotterdam. Bye.